candidates that people might want. Those are only the people that stepped up at that time because of the issues that existed at that time. Now a lot of those issues are over. So I'm not in favor of any of the past candidates being appointed. And if you are going to open it up, I think you should just, open it up, but it's a lot more expense for the town and it's time, and I think you can do things with 4 people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. I'm going to bring it back to council members. Councilmember Whitman.
So, given that some thought with regards to this, I agree with some of the comments that have been made here tonight from the public. I do think that appointing somebody tonight does give them a leg up in the election. We don't know who the other people who might want to run in November. We didn't open it up to people who've run before. Or put any sort of announcement. We just went out and asked people who had recently applied in the last 12 months to say, do you want to reapply? And I don't think that there may be somebody else that wants to reapply or wants to apply that's out there that they feel that they might be slighted. So I think it would be unfair to do that here. I do think that with all the business that we have today, and we have some very serious business, but I think we're all aligned on that business at this point in time. I think that the majority of things that are going on, we've all approved moving forward with plans. We've all approved to go develop those plans and spend some money. So that I don't see that there's going to be a lot of opposition to execute those plans. Also, if there are issues, perhaps we should talk about them a little bit more to try and convince one another what that situation is, as opposed to rushing through on some of those issues. We do have, not only the council meetings, but study sessions where we can do that. So I don't see a need for having a 5th council member at this point in time. My recommendation is to let the people decide in November and make it fair at that point in time. So that would be my first input. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wood. Councilman Book. It's a race. Go ahead. Vice Mayor. It's you.
The first thing that I think is that if we were to choose to appoint or to pursue the appointment process, that we should not do it tonight. It's absolutely necessary to make a public announcement and request any applications from others that may want to put in their names for appointment. I do agree that especially in a situation where you have, 7 more months before the election, that there's an advantage that's given to somebody by being appointed. I agree with what you said on that. And the only reason that I would consider the appointment is because we have such a big agenda. I mean, we really have substantial things to deal with in these next several months with the reports from the master plans, and I'd love to be able to distribute that work amongst 5 rather than 4. I don't think the issue of our agreement or disagreement is particularly important. I frankly think that what we're facing in terms of looking at infrastructure investments by the town, I agree, we're very aligned on that. I haven't really made a decision about where I stand on this, but I'm definitely leaning toward the idea that we should just let it go to an election.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman Lewis.
So, this is a very short period of time between now and the time then you have to file your candidacy and run. There are 3 seats that are going to be chosen in November. There are 3 council seats up for elections, not just this one. There are 3. And there is going to be a campaign. To throw it out to the broad public and do an interview process like we did last year for the replacement of potential for Council Member Carlson's vacancy. That was one thing, and I'm really glad that we did not appoint at that time and that it went to an election. It got more people involved, it got people interested in council, and what I would hope that between now and the time for the election is that the people who really do want to serve and not just get an easy appointment, come to the meetings, volunteer for committees, do some work, and really understand what it takes to be part of a council. It's not all that easy. I mean, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of commitment, and I know that it was very, having only 4 and distributing the work for 5 among 4 last year, then as mayor, you were very, very busy. And so, Mr. Mayor, as you can see, the last few weeks, very, very busy. And we're all going to be busy. But my inclination is not to keep the residents guessing about where we're going to go with this, but I would just like to leave the position vacant until the November 2014 election and let the residents decide. I do believe that this 4-member council has been more cooperative and more collegiate and more consensus building than I've ever seen the councils in the past be. And I think that has a lot to do with the leadership of staff, the professionalism from the staff that we have, from our city manager, our city clerk, our finance department, and public works, planning, chief of police. The whole tone of the town has just taken on a higher level, and that then comes down to council members and the culture that the mayor provides, the leadership the mayor provides is also an indication of how we conduct our business. So that's my feelings about it. I think we should wait until November and have an election. There are 3 seats that are up for election at that time.
Thank you. Thank you, all council members on this. It's easy to sit here and say that we have nothing to do and we're not going to miss Jim. But in fact, Jim did work, and he did a share of work that until a few hours ago we've reallocated to the other council members. And so we're sharing that workload that Jim would normally have done amongst the 3 of us. Each one of us has accepted some of the responsibility of replacing Jim. I think that we do have a lot of work, and I've said it and I will say it again. We have a lot of action going on that does, and additional input is always good. And 5th council member is always helpful because of that additional input, the ability to take some time, to take some buffer, and to throw thoughts at the wall so that we can make better decisions for the town of Atherton. That's why we do it. We all complain about all the workload we do, but we still sit up here and we still do it. And missing somebody on the council, because we just got done missing somebody last year on the council, does shift workload and we all do more work. So in essence, these last 2 years, every one of us has done more work because of the displacement of one person. But it's a process that I think everyone up here, when it comes to having an election, we appreciate the fact that we go out and meet these residents, talk about the issues that are on our dinner plate. It's not a party issue, it's what the issues are. And I think it's better for the town of Atherton, it's better for the residents of Atherton to meet the candidates, talk to the candidates, and have a proper time to vet those candidates. again, it would be easier for us just to put somebody up here, make a fifth council member, and you're right, you know, in the big picture, does it give him a better chance in November if he reruns? Yeah, but again, it's also putting him through multiple things for the next 9 months to get him prepared, so it's not, this is not an easy decision because there are reasons for both ways, but the residents of Atherton, I think we all are in consensus here that one, we wouldn't have been making a decision this evening to put somebody in quickly. That's not going to happen. That is option not on the table. But I do think that we're all in the consensus that we might as well wait till November. We've shifted the workload, accept the responsibility that Jim has had, and we'll make decisions for Atherton with the residents' input until November, until we get that fifth council member. So I don't believe that it's necessary for us to have an action because we don't need to call for an election because we are having an election. We have 2 seats that are already up in November. Therefore, I don't believe it's necessary at this point to have any further comment, other than the fact that we wouldn't be bringing this back up. We wouldn't be torturing anybody and saying, hey, you know, next week we changed our mind. So.
That's correct, they will show up on your agenda again.
Okay, so for the record, everybody, there will be 3 open spots in November. I think that we're all in agreement, all 4 of us, no need to vote on anything. And so, good luck to everybody in November. We wish that we have the same participation level in the interest over the last, as well as we had in the planning commission. So, good luck to everybody in November. So let's go ahead and move on to item number 22. No motion. So let's go ahead and move on to item number 22, the reinstatement of day permit use in Overpond Park. Director Michael Swati.
Yes, Mayor Reese, Portland City Council. This item is brought forward with a staff recommendation to reinstate day use permits at Overpond Park. The primary reason for this is that staff believes it would help regulate park use, particularly on weekends, for groups of between 10 and 49. Our recommendation would be to utilize the requirements which the town previously had when it was issuing day use permits, with a couple of changes. That's a result of a discussion that was had with the Parks and Recreations Committee at the March 5th meeting. And at that meeting, the Parks and Rec Committee had several recommendations that for consideration by the council. The first one is to change the fee. When day use permits existed several years ago, it was a $100 fee. What the Parks and Rec Commission is now recommending is that it's a tiered fee of $50 for Atherton residents and $75 for non-residents. And also, they recommended to include some additional language prohibiting the use of alcohol. And with that, that concludes staff recommendations and we'll answer any questions.
Perfect, thank you, Mike. Any questions from the council? Seeing no clarifying? No clarifying questions. Go ahead and close that. Any comments from the public on this item?
Not on this side.
Okay. Seeing no more hands, no more public comments, we're going to go ahead and close public comments on this. Bring it back to council. Councilman Whitney, please.
Sure. I spoke to George about this earlier. You know, if you look at the use of some of the park benches, you know, the little tables out there, especially on a Sunday, and especially as the weather gets better and the kids are having their first communion and things like that, there are family get-togethers there, and the size of the families that I see out there are, you know, greater than 10 but less than 15, and it would seem to me that perhaps 9 or less with no fee might be making it a little bit too tight, especially some of these families are maybe from neighboring areas, and the fee associated with it might be prohibitive for them. So you know, I'd like to perhaps have my fellow council members consider raising this up to 15. Secondly, I have a concern over the fining, not that the fine isn't appropriate, but the fact that we have a very nice person that works on the weekends. He's easy to get along with. You know, he's a gentle man. He does his job. Some of the people may not be as kind to him as perhaps they should be, and I think that we might be putting him in a little bit of a risk area. And I've expressed to the city manager that it might be unfair. He might need some additional support early, you know, until people start understanding and what we're going to go do. But I would hate to see a person, you know, verbally abused or worse, trying to cite somebody who gets a little more argumentative. So I think that the enforcement of the guy that we have there, who's doing a service to the town,